Hi, and welcome to Spiritual Alchemy Energy, the podcast with Julie. Tonight I have Noah Hammond Tyrrell. He is a co founder and CEO of Feel Good Hemp, the only hemp product company that offers a free self empowerment platform and community to its clients. Thank you for being here tonight.
Thanks, Julie. Thanks for having me.
I'm like super excited about this. This is like very unique, very creative, and your approach to putting this together. Um, so, I really like to get to know the person. So you've got this big bio out there, and this big story behind before going into this. So tell us about Noah even before this. Where were you? What were you doing? What was your mindset?
Before Feel Good Hemp, or before I was a coach, or before
Well,
which
before,
before the thing with my dad?
yeah, before that, before you were hitting rock bottom. What was
Yeah,
going
that
on with
was an
Noah?
interesting time for sure. So I've been a coach and whatever you want to call it, thought leader, influencer. They didn't use the word influencer back when I started doing it, but it was, I've been making videos on YouTube and coaching people and guiding people since 2008. And it sort of started out of my own relentless personal quest to understand myself and how things work. And part of that was driven by my engineering background and physics, and eventually getting into quantum physics, which kind of bridges the gap between the left brain and the right brain, between science and spirituality. It sort of merges them in a way. And that really opened me up because I was very left brain before that. And where I was at right before starting this company was that I was running a marketing agency for other thought leaders, coaches, people who have books and workshops and programs who help people to transform. And the reason I was doing that was because I was doing it so well for myself, and people started asking for help. And I had this big team of 10 people, and we were running around and helping clients, and it was great. But we were also getting burnt out because working with clients and doing what we were doing, which was full soup to nuts marketing for them, it's basically like being business partners with 10 people at once. And so we made this pivot to simply offer our own course teaching what we were doing for our clients. And God said, this is not what we have in store for you, Noah. And everything, no matter how smartly we designed it and executed it, it all just crumbled. And I basically had to let go of my entire team of 10, bankrupt the company in like 45 days time, just got really aggressive with our pivot, and it didn't work out. And so I was like struggling to pay rent, like $200 in the bank. And then that's when I got the phone call that also my dad was super sick and basically diagnosed with a death sentence.
So why don't we, that's the segue into the story. So go for it.
Yeah. So I'm in LA at the time with my wife, newly married, with my wife, Danielle, and we get the call. And of course, it's the call nobody wants to get. And so we head right down to San Diego, which is where my parents were, and get to the hospital. And he's just up on the bed looking like a shell of himself, right? He had lost 60 pounds in a month. He was all pale and gray. And he looked like a guy who was dying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the doctors had diagnosed him with stage 4 liver cancer. He had a tumor on his liver about the size of like a mini football. Over 60% of his liver tissue was covered in tumor. And they didn't give him any kind of protocol or any kind of outcome other than, you have 3 months to live, sir. Like, there wasn't we're going to try this, this, and this. And hopefully, it's a small chance, but hopefully whatever. It was just, you have 3 months to live. That's our prognosis. So unfortunate, of course, but I had done training with alternative healers who have healed thousands of stage 4 cancers, who have healed unhealable things of so many nature, autoimmune disorders and end stage heart disease and all these kinds of things that Western medical doesn't have great answers for. And so I knew it was possible, at the very least possible, to heal my dad. And so I kind of looked at some of my research and some of my notes and decided what are the things we're going to focus in on, because my dad is he's from Queens, New York. He's kind of old school. I mean, he's open, but he's not like the guy who's going to go on the raw vegan diet or the Gerson diet, or he's not that guy. So I said, what can we 80-20? What can we focus on to get the best bang for our buck? And the two things we really decided to go with was a juicing protocol, focusing on beet and carrot juice because it's really good for the liver, and just vegetable juicing, right? And the other one being hemp oil protocol. And so for people listening, Rick Simpson is a guy from Canada who kind of popularized this in the modern world. It's called the Rick Simpson protocol because he's so responsible for repopularizing it. So we went and got hemp oil and we started him on that. And to make a long story short, after 6 weeks of consistent dosing with hemp oil, both THC and CBD every day, and 20 to 40 ounces of vegetable juice every day, 6 weeks later, we go for his next round of blood work and MRIs, and the tumor had shrunk by over 30%.
Dang.
And yeah, so that's when we knew we were onto something. It was actually kind of funny because my family is not as scientific as I am. So that, in the report from the MRI, it's like, this is the measurements of the tumor. And nobody quite got it at first that it had shrunk. And then I did the calculations. I'm like, guys, it's way smaller. And then we were all freaking out. Oh my God, yes, right? So again, long story short, we kept on going, juicing, hemp oil, ramping up the hemp oil as my dad was able to take more and more THC without it being too overwhelming, and high CBD from the get-go because that's not psychoactive. It doesn't get you high. But as we kept going, the tumor kept shrinking. And they said he was going to be dead in 3 months. Within 4 months, he was completely cancer-free without a single bit of tumor tissue, living or dead, left on his liver. No tumor markers in his blood, nothing. And he's been that way for now 4.5 years. And, they've had him coming in for MRIs and blood work every 3 months ever since. Now they said finally, oh, okay, you can do every 6 months because, the doctor said it on the down low. We don't think it's coming back, but they're not allowed to say that really. Right. So they say it very hush hush. You can come in every 6 months now.
Oh boy. So at some point your dad's like, I'm on board. Let's keep going. Did his mindset change?
I'd say the very first vegetable juice we made for him, we put extra apple in it to make it sweet, right? And even with it being super sweet, my dad was like, oh, gross, I said, Dad, I don't care if it tastes like a horse's ass. If it's this or death, you drink the damn juice, man. And he gave me a little pushback, but and then within weeks, his palate had adjusted and he loved the juice. He actually kept going with the juice for several months after he was already completely cured or healed of his cancer. And now he doesn't do it so much, but he still does take maintenance doses of hemp oil, not every night, but most nights. And that's just his way. He follows his intuition about what his body wants and needs. But it's much, much, much less than he was taking when we were actually actively fighting the tumor.
Right.
And it's working. I mean, he's cancer-free. And to compare that with the outcomes that everyone else at the liver cancer specialist ward at the hospital he was at, it's night and day. They say things to him like, you're the healthiest person with liver cancer we've ever seen. And he kind of has survivor's guilt a little bit because basically everyone else who was where he was at is not here anymore. So
wow,
part of it is a little trippy for him.
So in that process with your dad, did you integrate these other modalities that the empowerment platform that you've put together? So
I wouldn't say as directly as what we offer on the platform, because we teach people how to process and release old emotional baggage and trauma that's trapped in their cells and all these things that aid to healing, how to reprogram your subconscious mind and stop running negative programs that also can keep you sick and keep you in pain and all those things. For him, I think the main emotional healing came from literally just being exposed to so much plant medicine, specifically THC. At the height of it, he was taking over 100 milligrams of THC a day. And to put that in perspective for people who don't know, a lot of times people will go have a party with like a 5 milligram or a 10 milligram little edible or something. And he was taking over 100 milligrams a day in 3 separate doses, meaning like 35, 35, 35. So yeah, he was definitely having an emotional journey. And, to tie it into the stuff we offer on the platform, an interesting thing that happened was when I don't know how they know this, but when the doctors told us about the tumor, they said, we estimate that this tumor has been growing for about 10 years. And if you flash back to 10 years earlier, it was 2008. The big recession of that year was happening. And my dad was running a family business doing wedding and events, photo and video in New Jersey. And we had tons of people from the family employed there. It was a multi-million-dollar business. And over 80% of that industry went out of business that year in that state. Technology had caught up and people were cutting the budget for it. And they just said, hey, I'll give Uncle Jimbo the camera and let's not pay $4,000 for Emmy Award winning photo video. So that hit him like a ton of bricks because it was just like almost overnight, the company just collapsed, couldn't keep up with its bills, had to close its 2 offices, all this stuff. And he really went into a deep depression. And in traditional Chinese medicine, they say that the liver is where excess anger is stored. And so he went into this deep shutdown for about 10 years and came out the other side with a massive liver tumor and cancer. And on the other side of his treatment, he didn't just heal himself physically. He also was certainly a different person emotionally. He was much more there, much more present, much more back to his funny self, much more alive. And so he did go through an emotional cleansing in the form of a near-death diagnosis / experience and an intense plant medicine treatment. And also, we can't discount the power of prayer and the amount of people that were praying for him and holding space for him, because it's a scientific fact that we are all connected as one collective consciousness. It's a scientific fact that thoughts are things and that people's intentions manifest in the form of energy, and that energy manifests in the form of matter. And all of these things in this modern world are scientifically proven. They're no longer sort of fringe woo-woo topics. Oh yeah, prayer, cool. It's tangible. It's real from a scientific and a spiritual perspective. So we had a lot of people praying for him, and the plant medicine was certainly working on multiple layers of his being, not just his physical.
Right. Wow. I don't know where to go from here.
Yeah, it's pretty intense stuff. It's pretty trippy.
Well, I'm a healer myself, so I totally understand all of this. And being a medical intuitive, and actually I can sometimes remote view back to the source of, where it developed, that 10-year period. This is what happened, happened to you in high school, and it wasn't physical, it was emotional. So, I totally get that. So, this is so unique. So where did you get this idea to do the CBD oil, the hemp oil, and put this empowerment platform together? Was that your creative marketing skills from your past life?
Well, it's a combination of things. So after my dad was healed, it wasn't like we just started the company. What happened was my wife is a sound healer and a yoga teacher, and we were having a sound bath, and we decided, hey, let's have a CBD sound bath and offer CBD as like an upsell. You can buy a dose at the door on top of your sound bath ticket. And over 70% of people did. And it was just we could feel it in the room. It was the most relaxed sound bath we'd ever done. And for people who don't know, sound baths are like vibrational medicine, right? People come in all the time for a sound bath and they just lay down, listen to the instruments, and they come in with shoulder pain and they leave without it. This one, though, was next level with the CBD added on. And at the end of it, we had some doses left over, and we were like, hey, everybody, like 2 for 1, come and get them. And we sold out of everything in an instant. And the next morning, my wife, who loves to sleep in on a Sunday, she just popped up out of bed early. It was like, I can't sleep. Let's get up. And so we're sitting having matchas on the porch and looking off at the mountains in Topanga, California. And she's like, I think we should start a CBD company. And like, sounds like a great idea, and to put in perspective, like, it was a really cool realization because, my business collapsed and then my dad got super sick. And as a serial entrepreneur, I sort of resisted the urge to just go back into creation mode and just said, look, I'm going to focus on what's in front of me, what needs my attention right now. I'm going to focus on helping and healing my dad. I had a couple coaching clients who I've been working with for a long time. So it's like I had basic bill money. And I just said, whatever's next, it'll come to me. Like, I'm going to focus on healing my dad. And so we moved down to San Diego. We broke out of our lease in LA. They were really cool about it. Thank God. And I just focused on him. And the cool thing is that it's kind of like a father and son coming back from bottom together, because his journey from a health rock bottom back to health inspired my next mission in life, business wise, and where I was at rock bottom in a business sense. And so that was really cool to realize in retrospect that, like, I didn't anticipate it, but the gift was given nonetheless from his journey. So then we started Feel Good Hemp, and with my wife being a sound healer, Kundalini yoga teacher, and having gone through so many different modalities to heal her own hurts and wounds and traumas, and then with me having been a personal development coach and sort of spiritual life and business coach for all those years, we just know that CBD is amazing. And if you add other things on top of it, now you're really cooking with gas. And of course, tons of our clients just take the CBD and they get pain relief, or they get anxiety or depression relief, or they sleep better or whatever. And that's great. And lots of people also dive further into the platform and use it to clean up more of the root causes of why is there pain, right? Because I truly believe that the body can always heal itself. When we look at a baby and they fall down, they bump something, they scrape something, it's healed so quickly, right? They bumped my little 9-month-old. She whacked her head on something the other day. The next day she's got like a welt/bruise. Later that same day, it's gone, right? Like who we are. And of course that has to do with how many stem cells they have and their age and all these things. And I think it just speaks to our natural state is one of integrity and wellness. And it's all these little things that we pick up through our life, whether it's traumatic experiences, emotionally difficult experiences, whether it's negative beliefs and negative thinking, or whether it's literally something a little bit more nuanced than that, like some scars, like past life traumas that are lodged in our current energy field in this life. There's a lot of different layers to healing. In yoga, they call it your mental body, not your mind, because they acknowledge that every cell in your body has intelligence and every cell in your body has memory. And this is scientifically proven. So we know that, and your body's so smart that when you have an emotionally tough experience, it goes like, okay, you can process this much of it. Great. You're going to face and deal with that much of it. And we're going to take this chunk over here and we're just going to store that in your lower back, in the tissues. And it'll come up when you're ready for it. And that stuff usually calls your name to it through pain. You're like, dang, my back feels tweaky. And that's like the opportunity. That's the calling to say, why is that? More than just okay, I need to stretch more. I need to not sit as many hours. Low back, for example, is usually having to do with a belief that we're not fully supported or that we're not supported enough, right? So there's always an emotional, a psycho-spiritual, a psychological, a mental, a physical, a spiritual component to anything that's going on in us, because we are all those things. And so I think it was really just my wife and I's awareness, and also that we didn't want to be like every other CBD company just out there saying, we have the best CBD. It's like, how do you know? Have you tried all 1,000 brands that are out there? It's like saying we have the absolute best pizza on planet Earth.
Right.
How do you know?
So I guess you've tried a few.
Certainly.
So yours is the best, right?
I would say it's what I always like to say is that it's sent me up here, Julie. What I like to say is that it's high quality. And, for people at home, what I like to say is, look for a quality product. And there's really only a handful of things you need to look for. It should be full spectrum, which means it's got all the cannabinoids and all the different components of the plant at harvest, which is the most medicinal. So you don't want isolates. CBD isolates are junk, right? You want a full spectrum product It's made from organic hemp grown in the USA that's in a high quality absorption medium, meaning like MCT oil or olive oil, something good for your body and easy to absorb. It needs to have a medicinal dose of CBD, which for most people is going to start at about 30 milligrams. And this is one of the biggest problems I see in the CBD industry is so many products have all these fancy ingredients that make it sound super fancy. Oh, it's got lavender in it, and it's got chamomile, and elderberry or whatever, immune support. But then it has like 12 milligrams of CBD or 15 or 8. And people go, oh, I didn't feel that. Or it didn't really do anything for me. And it's because most people, a medicinal dose, an effective dose for you is going to start at about 30 milligrams. And for some people, it'll be more. And for the very sensitive few, it'll be a little bit less. But a lot of products that are out there are just marketing off the hype of CBD. You know, I saw CBD soap in the store the other day. It was 10 times the cost of the bar soap I was buying, and it had like 20 milligrams of CBD in the entire soap bar. It's literally going to do nothing for you other than make you think you feel cool for like, oh, I got the CBD soap, right? But it really tarnishes the industry because we're here to help people feel good, not just make money off of a hype, you know? So high quality product means full spectrum, a medicinal dose, quality absorption medium, USA grown organic hemp. And ultimately, I think also like as pure as possible. Try to avoid things with extraneous, sugars and dyes and colors and yada flavors. We offer pretty straightforward products at our company because we believe that your wellness supplements should just be good for you, right? And if you have all those things, I'd say the last thing is that the company you buy from should have lab reports or what's called a COA or certificate of analysis available. If you can't see the labs, then it's not a company you want to buy from. Any reputable company will show their lab reports, which shows that the quality or the quantity of CBD they're saying is in the product is what's in the product. And it's really important because in a recent study from the FDA, 69% of products they tested did not have the amount of CBD in them that they claimed on the label. So there's still lots of shiesty products out there, but you can avoid that really easily by just seeing that the company has a lab report available and those other things. And if you have all those things, yes, there'll be slight variances between the different products based on the strains of hemp that they were cultivated from, but you can be sure that you're getting a quality product at least, and that you're going to get a quality effect out of it. So whether it's our product or somebody else's, that's why we don't hype up we have the best CBD, we have the best CBD, because there might be a certain plant, for example, with certain terpenes, which is a different part of the plant, that really resonate with someone's body, right? There's no one size fits all, or anyone who says they have the best is just not creative in how they're marketing. And they're just saying what they think people want to hear is my opinion.
Bunch of bahooey.
Yeah. So, but if you look for those things as a consumer, you'll know you're getting a good product.
So I'm a sound healer. I'm a Jill of all trades kind of person.
Cool.
So I even have a vibroacoustical sound bed.
Whoa, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, just don't do like Reiki and that and other sound healing.
It overloads people.
It's overload. So that's super cool. So anyways, I'm wondering, being a healer myself, I do a lot of distance, but working like one-on-one with clients. So you're a spiritual coach, right? So
Yeah.
do you do sessions where clients are taking the CBD as you're working with them?
So I don't need them to take the CBD as I'm working with them per se, but when I'm working with a client one-on-one or in my elevation group, which is the main way I work with clients these days, I recommend them, like even when people get in my elevation program, which is a 6-month program with me, I give them a 6-month supply of CBD as part of their enrollment. And the reason I do that is because I believe that on a personal development and a healing standpoint, beyond the physical healing that they're going to get from it, I believe that CBD is awesome for sort of slowing us down and helping us to not react to certain things we might have otherwise reacted to, so that instead of reacting, we can make choices, and instead of being more compulsive and kind of fiery, we can sort of get out of that lizard brain and that primitive mindset where we're sort of defending and fighting and scrapping. We can calm down the amygdala, essentially, the sort of fight or flight response control in the brain, and let people see with a little bit more perspective and a little bit more detachment, right? So if I'm really attached to something and I'm really in it, it's like, what'd you say about me? Right. But if I'm a little bit more relaxed, I'm like, okay, this person made that comment and that comment makes me feel this way. Why is that? What is that a reflection of? It's like, it allows people, I think, a little bit more space to process things emotionally and psychologically. So I think it's very useful for personal development, on top of really just being an essential nutrient for the body. I don't know if you've ever heard about the endocannabinoid system.
I have, but let us talk about it.
Yeah. Well, it's something I love to share with people, because the real miracle is not CBD. I like to say the miracle is your own body, and it always is. And what you have, which is called the endocannabinoid system. So the ECS, or the endocannabinoid system, is something that was discovered only in the early 90s. But it's basically a series of receptor sites throughout our entire body, in every organ, in our immune system, in our bones, in our muscles. It's everywhere in our body. And it basically regulates the harmony of each different body system. And we make our own cannabinoids. So cannabinoids is kind of a funny word, but that's the compound that CBD is. So CBD is a cannabinoid. THC is a cannabinoid. There's over 114 different cannabinoids in the hemp plant. And our body makes its own cannabinoids. They're called endocannabinoids, right? So this is so natural to our harmony and our wellness that there is endocannabinoids in mother's breast milk. Mother feeds additional cannabinoids to their baby, right? And so these are an essential compound for body wellness and harmony. And the problem is that there's two things that make your cannabinoids go down, and it's aging and stress. And obviously aging is one thing that none of us can avoid, but stress is something that's more prevalent in our society than it's ever been before, right? From the psychological stress of all of us being connected and all these constant social changes and movements and issues that we're all being told we have to obsess over, to the constant media exposure, to the very real stress of like physical EMFs in our environment everywhere at levels that we've never seen before as humans, to toxicity in our water, toxicity in our air, deficiency of nutritional value and minerals in our food supply from aging soil and bad farming practices. There's so many ways that our body is being stressed now more than it was 100 years ago. And it's very visible. I mean, if you look at a picture of people on the beach in the 1960s, and then you look at a picture of people on the beach now, you're just like, whoa, people are not as healthy or strong or vibrant or vital as they used to be. Like, we have seriously, and it's the consumption of vegetable oils, which are highly processed industrial sludge. It's so many things that are
lifestyle.
It's lifestyle. It's how much time we're spending inside. It's how much time we're spending sitting. It's so many things that are stressing the body. And so now more than ever, we need to support the body with supplements that allow it to do what it does best, which is regulate our harmony and our wellness. We never heal the body. The body heals itself when we give it the right environment, the right conditions. And so that's why, for example, I take vitamin D3. It's just an intelligent supplement to give my body something that it needs that it wouldn't need if I was living in a tribal outdoor lifestyle. Then I would be outdoors so much. I would definitely have enough D3, but I'm inside all the time. I'm living this modern lifestyle. So I know, okay, give my body some D3. It's actually a hormone, and it will turn itself into all these other things in my body, and it's really good for my body. Same thing with CBD. It's a cannabinoid. Your body needs cannabinoids. Because of all the stress, we're not having as many as we should have, right? So you put it in there, and it doesn't actually saturate the cannabinoid system. It just helps you to not digest your own endocannabinoids. So it's kind of like an SSRI, right? Like a serotonin reuptake inhibitor. These mental meds, which I am not a fan of, but What do? They stop you from digesting the serotonin that your body's already creating. CBD functions very much the same way. It stops you from digesting your own endocannabinoids, so you have more of them. And your body's so smart that it sends the cannabinoids where the cannabinoids are needed, which is why someone with gut issues can take CBD and have their gut issues de-inflame and correct themselves. Someone with early onset dementia can take CBD and have their early onset dementia start to repair itself or lessen in its symptoms or go away. Someone with chronic arthritis in their wrist can take CBD and have the arthritis in their wrist go away, because what's really happening is their endocannabinoid system is being nourished to the point where it can function properly so that it can create harmony and take away inflammation in the areas that need it. Right? It's no longer so stressed that it can't do its job. So it starts doing its job again. Right. And I feel like a lot of people aren't talking about this. They think that like CBD is the magic pill. And it's really, really useful. But the reason it's useful is because your body has this master system that thrives on cannabinoids. And if you give it cannabinoids, then it will do well and it will operate better. And I mean, that's why you're hearing, though. That's why people hear about CBD for so many different things. It's like, oh, I heard about it for sleep. I heard about it for pain. I heard about it for blood sugar management or weight loss, or I heard about it for Crohn's or inflammation or arthritis or whatever. And it's like, you hear about it for so much, you start to think, this sounds like snake oil. Like this one thing can't do all these things, but it's your own body that's doing these things. And it would have been doing these things naturally anyway if we didn't live in such a stressful world. So, now we just need to take actions to manage the fact that we're in this stressful world.
Absolutely. So I'm looking at your website here, and it looks like you've got tinctures, balms, and soft gels.
Yes.
Because I'm wondering.
Yeah, we keep it very simple with our product line because we're all about people getting a medicinal dose of CBD. Our balm is the balm. The guy who actually makes our balm is the oil maker who saved my dad's life and made the oils for him. And he's been doing it for so long that we were actually the first people I knew. Our balm is 500 milligrams per ounce. Our topical balm, it's 1,000 milligrams in the 2-ounce tin. And only recently have I seen other people put in 1,000 milligrams in a 2-ounce balm. And the reason why is because our oil maker knew to make it effective, that's what she needed. And it's great because all the time I hear people say, oh, I tried 2-3 other topicals, didn't work, rubbed yours on, and the knee pain went away, or the ankle pain went away, or whatever it is. And so that's another thing. And then our tincture is 1,000 milligrams, which means it's 33 milligrams a dose. And our soft gels are 30 milligrams a dose as well. We're going to come out with an extra strength tincture soon. We're going to have a 2,000 and a 3,000 milligram dose. And that's actually inspired by my grandma, who actually just passed about a week and a half ago. But no problem. She was 95 and 11 months old. So she really lived a long, happy life. And part of the reason why, though, is because in the last 2 years, she's been taking our CBD 3 times a day. And with it, she had a quality of life. And without it, she had full body arthritis. And so she just, I love your CBD, Noah. Please keep sending it. She's an old Jewish woman from New York, So that's inspiring to me because, there's so many people like her who need that amount, something like 100 milligrams a day to really be in a good place. And so we're going to have a 3,000 milligram tincture where you can just order one a month and have that amount. And we're going to make it as affordable as possible because that's another thing that we're dealing with in this industry is just simple price gouging. Like some of our, like on subscription, you can get our 1,000 milligram tincture for $55 a month, shipping and tax and everything included. And a lot of our competitors are still charging $100, $119 for the same amount. And, so double the price. And it on one hand, it's like, hey, power to them. They're making money and they're still serving the medicine and good for them. On another hand, I think about my grandma and I think about how impossible it would have been for her to afford the amount she needed to make her life work if she didn't have me as her grandson. Right. And so we're really focused on just driving the price down to a place where people can get the amount they need at a reasonable price that they can make it a lifestyle. Because CBD is not something you take once. If you take it once, it's not marijuana, right? It's not something to get you high. It's not something like, oh, I want to have a party on a Friday night. I take it all the time. I take it most nights. Sometimes I forget, but I never forget for too long, because my body will start to notice, oh, I'm sleeping a little bit less good, or, oh, that old football injury, I got a little bit of back tingles going on. And then I'll be like, oh, I haven't taken my CBD for a few days, and I'll take my CBD again, and my body handles the rest. So yeah, I really want to encourage people to think about it as more of a supplement than like vitamin D or vitamin C. Like, you wouldn't say, okay, I'm going to take my vitamin C today, and then I'm not going to take it again for another month, right? If you think your body needs that compound, then you give it to it on a daily or mostly daily basis. And that's how I think people should think about CBD too.
Right. And then on a spiritual level, you can take this to calm yourself down. Do that tapping too.
Oh, yeah. We have a whole tapping course in the platform.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
So doing tapping and then tapping into your intuition and practicing with your intuition. I don't know what kind of programs you have in your system. Could you go over a couple of the intuition ones?
Oh, well, that is one of the programs. So we have a program on different tools for tapping into your intuition better. And I think it's really useful because we're not taught that in school. We're not taught that in society. And to me, as an engineer who grew up very left brain, very much interested in electronics and geeking out on computers and programming and things like that, I didn't have that strong connection to my emotions, to my heart, to my intuitive guidance. And really, that is where the highest wisdom within your being is located. Your brain can only really regurgitate various variations of what it already knows. It can't come up with anything new. But when your brain is being used to channel information, aka being used as sort of a receiver and transmitter, which is actually the brain's higher function. It's actually a crummy. People think about the brain like it's a hard drive. That's actually it's a crummy hard drive, right? It's not good at memorizing things. That's why if a crime happens in front of 5 people, and each of the 5 people will have a different story about exactly what happened, and then the video camera will show a 6th story. So people think of the brain as this hard drive, but it's actually much more of a receiver and a transmitter. Again, thoughts are things, and they carry with them vibrations, and there's a collective consciousness. And so it's, telekinesis. Even some people are able to truly develop mind powers that move and affect reality. And, I'm not there yet, but let me try,
Starting fires with my mind.
I mean, I know people who witness people affecting very clearly electronics with their minds, and there's scientific studies out on it, and there's just so much that we don't know. But your intuition is connected to the universal wisdom that created all creation. And not that we're going to get perfect downloads from it every time. In fact, most of the time we're 50-50 at best. But to live from your heart, to live from your intuition, to live not from your emotions. When I say live from your heart, I'm talking about the center of your heart that's beyond emotion. It's the yogis say that the seat of your soul is in the center of your heart, right? And so the seat of your soul is connected. If your soul is a spark of consciousness, God consciousness, creative consciousness, universal consciousness, whatever you want to call it, then it's like, would a ray of the sun be considered the sun itself? Of course. So if you have a spark of the sun within you, you are the sun. It's one and the same. And you can connect to that spark, connect to something deeper, connect to something more wise than your mind. All the time I say things where then my brain goes like, whoa, that was pretty smart. Right? So it didn't come from my brain, right? It came from somewhere else. And if you just take notice of when you're really in the flow and speaking with someone, like back in the day, I used to coach men on how to be better with women, like dating and confidence coaching from a kind of a holistic perspective. And all the time, guys' biggest problems were they were sitting there thinking about what to say. And when you're thinking about what to say to someone, you come off as a weirdo. Like you just seem really in your head and really unsure of yourself or really not confident. But if you're being a normal person with people, you realize you don't think about what you say before you say it. You just say it. It comes through you. It comes from you. It doesn't come from your mind. So intuition is how you connect to that higher wisdom. And it's like any other muscle, I like to say. If you go to the gym and you bench press, you're going to get stronger pecs. If you practice connecting to your intuition and doing the best you can, that muscle gets stronger. And I've been consciously training that muscle since 2010. And I'll tell you, it gets stronger. And it doesn't get perfect, but it gets stronger. And that's what really matters. You know, it really guides you and you can live your life from a much deeper place.
Oh, for sure, for sure. That's a Valley girl. I don't know how old you are. Do you remember that?
Well, we are in California area. We're in SoCal, and my wife's from Santa Monica, so for sure.
I lived in California for all over California. So
yeah.
And
where are you located now?
I'm in Reno.
Oh, okay, fun.
So anyways, totally got off track. What I did want to ask you about is all this stuff is great. Do you still do business coaching? I mean, you do that?
Yeah. So the program that I run is called Elevation. And what I really help people do is achieve more success and more fulfillment while finally overcoming their self-doubt, their inner critic, and the constant stream of negative, anxious, or fearful thoughts they deal with on a consistent basis. Right. And for all my clients, some of them are real estate agents, some of them are entrepreneurs, some of them are executives, right? I help them unlock more success, but it comes via sort of simplifying things, clearing out the gunk, like getting a fresh slate inside their own being. So many people who are so successful are so not confident. You know, I know a real estate agent who sold millions of dollars of real estate, and he always thinks, yeah, you got lucky on all those deals, man. You're not going to get this next one. And then he does. And then he thinks, yeah, you got lucky on all those deals, man. You're not going to get this next one. And then he does. And we spend so much energy, and it's so exhausting to deal with that inner critic, to deal with that limiting belief, to deal with all the things that are just misprogrammed inside us. And especially for entrepreneurs, so many entrepreneurs who are really successful, they live in a constant gripping anxiety of losing what they've built. If I don't keep showing up for 18-hour days, if I don't keep hustling, and society supports this, society speaks hustle culture nonstop. If I don't keep grinding, if I don't keep it up, it's going to fall apart. And so that's why so many entrepreneurs end up with cancer or gut issues or chronic immune disorders, because they don't know how to slow down. They don't know how to create from a different paradigm. And if they only did, they would not only have even more success than they're currently seeing, but they would get to truly enjoy it in a whole new way. And so I do business coaching from that perspective, where I'm really, do I want to teach people exact digital marketing strategies to, increase their lead generation and cut their cost per lead? And sure, we could go down that route. But to me, business is really simple. It's 5 key levers. You can always look at those 5 key levers from a high perspective and change them and make something happen new in your business. It's really about acknowledging that the number one blocker or the number one amplifier of your business, of your career, of your income is you. And it's who you really are, not who you wish you would be, not who you project yourself to be, not who you act like you are in front of other people when you're all buttoned up. It's who you are when you're up against it. It's who you are when you're really real with yourself. It's who you are in here. That is literally what's creating your reality. And you can only fake it for so long, right? And you can only out hustle your demons for so long, because eventually that gets exhausting. When you are moving from fear, when you are fighting for your family and fighting for your status and fighting for that next quarterly earning and fighting to keep what you've built and fighting to stay, they call it grinding, right? The definition of the word grind means to wear down over time. That's what grind means, to wear down over time. So when people are obsessed with grinding, I'm like, do you want to wear down over time? Is that your goal?
Right.
So no, but it's the paradigm we come from. And so we can only be that which we are, and we can only have that which we are. And so if we are programmed with a worldview, a belief system, and a value system that is all about working hard, time for money, never stop hustling, fight or flight, fear-based, lack-based, the competition's on my ass, all of those things are fear-based and sort of old paradigm compared to what you could have instead. And so that's when you say, do I do business coaching? It's like, yes, the elevation group that I run, and those are the people who get my one-on-one mentorship. Plus we have a group. A lot of them, they all want more success. We all want more success.
Right.
But it's about as far from a strategic place is like, how do we strategically approach more success for you in your business, or more freedom for you in your money situation where your money's working more for you and things like that. I call that module leveraged simplicity. Mm-hmm. Like the whole point is making it simpler. Mm-hmm. I'll give you a direct example. One of my clients, he was hustling, CEO, constantly in stress mode. And I had him replace himself as CEO at his own company, hire a new one, hire a CMO because he was kind of covering that too, leave the business. He now consults them on a quarterly basis. The business pays him a passive 6+ figures income. He still owns the business. So if he ever wants to sell it, it's growing without him. And it was stressing him out. And now it pays him money on autopilot, is growing an asset that's growing without him. And he gets to do the only thing that he wants to do, which is he talks to them once a quarter and injects his wisdom and his creativity into the direction forward. And that's it. Right. And that's why I call that module leveraged simplicity, because typically people who have hustled to the point where they've earned something, it's not that they need to do more, it's that they need to do less. It's not that they need to try harder, it's that they need to let go. It's not that they need to hustle more, it's that they need to reinvent, see with new eyes, and become the person who's going to allow themselves to have that new reality, because it's your new reality is always on the other side of you becoming a new you. And that's the part that I help people with.
Oh, damn. At first you stressed me out. I'm like, oh man, I used to work in real estate. And I was like, you just stressed me out for a minute.
Where's that next deal coming from, Julie?
Oh, I really was. I was just trying to have fun. So I did. So.
It is a pretty fun industry.
I had to, fire a couple clients because, anyway, the deal's just not worth it when you're like, they think you could be accessed 24/7. No, it doesn't work that way. No, 3 a.m. text calls. No, it doesn't work for me. Yeah. Bye.
So common in that industry.
Corporate? Do you do corporate? Do you go into businesses and do coaching?
I don't so much, but I'm totally open to it. It's something that I've been an entrepreneur my whole adult life, and so I don't really know the corporate world in a way that made me convicted to market to them. So I work more with individuals. Sometimes they're getting HR from their business to pay for them to do our program, for sure. But I don't typically go after, hey, Microsoft, I want to teach elevation to your marketing team or your, VPs or something like that. Not so much, but I'm open to it. Maybe in time.
Yeah. Take them sound bowls.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Corporate needs a whole heap of what we got going on.
All right. I did work for a good company, and they did bring people in like yourself to, motivate and put the focus on you, and you're the master of you. So, love that company.
My mom was a business consultant for Fortune 500 companies for a long time, and she joked that she's like, I don't know why these companies keep hiring me, because every time I get put on contract to consult some VP or some CEO or some CMO or some higher up who's like not performing, they almost inevitably end up leaving the company, and my coaching like helps them realize to leave the company. I don't know how I keep getting gigs, she would say.
That's hilarious. Oh my God. They just, well, maybe that's what the point was, you know.
Yeah, well, who knows?
Instead of firing them, they chose to leave.
Yeah, it's true. And sometimes for a company, either result is useful.
Right.
Whatever moves the situation forward.
Right, exactly. So I kind of want to ask you, because you do this coaching, you've done marketing, so you know I'm
Yeah,
in I'm in a situation that I got a book,
awesome.
and so part of my book, um, I'm just going to bounce this off you. What do you think? So my book is pretty far-reaching. It's about beliefs. We were talking about, societal beliefs and how we're programmed and how we got to let go. Well, my story has is, to do with past lives. And in this lifetime, it's all connected. It's all the storyline is all connected, nonfiction story. And so my story has to do with a band, Led Zeppelin. It's connected to my story. So, right.
One of the best bands of all time, if not the
So
best.
I don't know. I love them, but then my story's like,
Doesn't make them look good.
no, not at all.
Ah,
But the thing is, they know this past life thing, and they put it in their artwork and their lyrics.
cool.
So is this a marketing genius thing to do? Is to decode Zeppelin?
Decoding Zeppelin. I mean, as part of your book, for sure, because obviously I'm curious to know the story. I want to know that story. From a marketing perspective as to how to use your book to grow your business, I'll tell you the number one way is to do what's called a free plus shipping funnel. So free plus shipping funnels are you give the book for free, people just pay shipping and handling, which hopefully can cover at least the basic cost of printing and shipping your book or something close to it. And the reason that that's awesome is because it puts what's called a buyer lead into your business. So if someone pulls out their credit card, even if it's for a free book, but they're paying $7.95 shipping and handling, they've shown you that they have the capacity to open their wallet or their purse, pull out their credit card, put in those digits, buy something. And not all people have that capacity. Some people do not buy things online. Some people do not buy coaching things. Some people do not buy self-development books, these kinds of things, right? So when someone buys your book, they're a really useful lead to your business. And if you can make that front end funnel sell books at least around the cost of what it costs you to deliver them, then you have this pool of people who you can offer other services to, coaching and readings and whatever else you offer in your business. And so that's the most valuable way to use your book, especially if you're not with them, if you're self-published or you're with a mainstream publisher.
Well, I do have my first book. I could probably do like that, but not the second one. I'm looking to do traditional in this second.
Well, if you're going traditional, then you know the deal. It's all about selling volume and getting into the big retailers and all that kind of thing. But yeah, that's the way I like to leverage a book for a business like yours. And that's what I was doing for people big time when I was running the marketing company.
Wow. Okay. Well,
yeah, there's a lot more to that and a lot more nuance to it. But for anyone who's out there trying to change lives through transformational empowerment, that's most likely the most effective way to use your book, is to gather those people who truly care and want to invest in your business on the front end.
Man, you just gave me a different idea.
Cool.
So a supplement book that's self-published, that'll work. And you got to have all kinds of balls in the air, That's one thing. I mean, I don't know if if you've encountered this with, this is one of my biggest problems, and a lot of people have these, and I'm sure you've run into this in your business, is self-sabotaging with so many projects.
Big time.
So how do you approach that with your clients? And put that down.
Yeah. Well, what I like to say is fail fast, but you have to fail. You can't not finish, right? So a broken business is filled with half-built bridges. So if you imagine your business is an island and all the customers that you want to have in your business, they're on the other side of the channel. Well, we start building one bridge to them, and then we build 3/4 of the way and we stop building that bridge. And then we start building another bridge and we stop that one halfway. And then we start building another bridge and we start that one halfway. And then we go, why are things not moving forward? And it's like, well, I mean, if you don't have one finished bridge, then you don't have a hope of having any connectivity to the market, right? And obviously it's not as simple as that, but that visual I find really helps people understand what they're doing and how silly it is, right? Because, okay, what if instead of making your project so complicated that you never finish it and then you move on to the next bridge, what if instead of your bridge being a giant, what if instead of it being like the Brooklyn Bridge, it's a rope bridge, right? It's so simple, but it finishes the connection. And that at least gives you an idea of if this is a connection worth pursuing further. And you can turn it into the Brooklyn Bridge later. But if it starts off as a rope bridge with planks on it, but it actually connects from one side to the other, then you can start to get some real data on whether or not that was a worthwhile use of your time. And then you can decide to reinvest your time, right? So it's about just, again, I call this leverage simplicity because it's about making it so damn simple that it gives you some leverage, right? And I think that's how most things are in business, right? There's only 5 core functions of a business. Business needs to generate leads, nurture leads, convert those leads with some sort of sell of something, deliver that something in a way that's hopefully awesome, and then resell, upsell, cross-sell, have people evangelize them, right? So there's 5 things any business needs to do. And you can always look at those 5 things in your business and be like, am I doing this at all? Okay, if I am doing it some, am I doing it at a 0, or at a 10, or at a 5, or a 6? And then you can look at those 5 different things and be like, cool, I'm doing everything at like a 5, but this one I'm doing at a 2. So there's my biggest leverage point first. Let me put a solid little new rope bridge into my lead gen compartment and then bring that up to a 5. And then I can decide where's my next project, right? So it's really about Jocko Willink, if you're familiar with him, he wrote a book called Extreme Ownership. He's a former Navy SEAL. And they call this, I'm going to butcher, I'm paraphrasing, but I think they call it prioritize and execute. Mm-hmm. So if you're on the battlefield, he gave the example in the story that, the SEAL team's on a rooftop in Armada in this heavy enemy-ridden city. And one dude steps on what looks like a roof, but it was actually cloth, and he falls through 1 story down and hurts his ankle, and he's down on the street. And then the gate down to the street is locked. So now they're in a dicey situation where they don't have cover. There's a hurt sealman down on the street, and there's a locked gate in between them. And so they have 3 things they need to overcome right now, but they can't do all 3 at once. Right. And so prioritize and execute. So prioritize means the whole team first set up defensive positions to cover themselves. Step 1, everyone get into the defensive position, cover all angles. Great. Now that's done. Now 2 guys break off and go get that gate unlocked. Great. Now that's done. Now those same 2 guys get down to the street while the other guys are covering, get the guy, get him back up here so we can get the hell out of here. Step 3, right? If they just started doing all 3 at once, nothing gets done. Right? One dude's fiddling with the lock, maybe some fires coming in because no one set up a defensive position yet. Another dude's talking to the guy over the edge. How you doing, man? And like nothing's happening, right? But for things to happen, boom, 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 you have to say, what the hell matters, number 1, and then do it. What truly matters, number 2, and then do it. And I think that's the main thing that people are actually dealing with is, we're in the middle of doing number one, and then we start scrolling Facebook, and then we see an ad, and then that ad tells us about a strategy for growing our business that's completely over here, and we're working on this over here. But now I'm like, maybe I need to do that over there. Look at all these testimonials. This person made $1 million. That person made $10,000 a month. This person, made 10K in the first 4 days. And we were in the middle of doing number one, and now there's enemy fire coming in, and we're reading the sales page for something that's actually step 7. Right. And that's the world we live in, is info overload. So actually the magic skill is focus. When I really go into work mode, phone goes off, right? Goes away. And I only have one thing in front of me. Another business trainer, Dave Ramsey, who's also a money trainer. If you've heard of him, Dave Ramsey, he calls it putting steak sauce on your day. He calls it A1 because he'll list his stuff in order of importance, like A, B, C. And then within A, B, and C, he'll list 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So he says every day you got to get A1. You got to put steak sauce on your day. At the very least, every single day, the single most important thing for what you're creating needs to get done. And even guys who are as busy and successful as Steve Jobs knew this, right? Steve Jobs had on average 3 hours a day to completely focus on whatever was his top priority project. So even a guy, Steve Jobs, running Apple, even years and years into it, with all those employees and all that press and all that, he still always had a 3-hour focus block. Maybe it wasn't every single day, but it was part of his routine. And that's why he created game-changing innovation over and over again, and didn't just settle with the first one and then get distracted by what everyone was writing in the newspapers about him and just read those, right? Because he always had focused creation and a knowledge about what was most important. And so I think that's, really what it comes down. And then the visual, again, of no half-built bridges. If I'm going to build a bridge, it's going to get built I'm either going to not start building it, or it will get built to completion, even if it's a single plank rope bridge. Anything I put my attention to, it's going to get built to completion so it can tell me something about whether or not it was worth it, and whether or not to double down on it, and whether or not to go even more in that direction.
Right. And it's not just business, it's life.
Totally.
This applies to life.
Absolutely. I mean, think about weight loss, think about nutrition, think about any of the things. What do? We say, I'm going to start that keto diet. And then you do it for a few days, and then you get distracted, and you didn't make it simple enough and easy enough to focus on, where then the distraction comes in, and you're watching TV and you see a commercial for Domino's, and click, and there it goes. And right. It's so many more layers in that, like my 7 levels of change thing, which is in the platform. There's so many layers to what creates lasting change in our beings and in our life, and why people fail so often in achieving their goals. But this is a huge part of it, for sure.
Right. I needed that reminder. Turn off the Wi-Fi when you're working, if you can.
Yeah, absolutely. Turn off the phone. Stop letting it ding at you.
Yeah. It's not even, I don't even hear it. Noah, I want to thank you for being here tonight. If there's anything you want to share with the audience before we close, please do.
Yeah, I think that the number one thing I'm most excited about sharing with people is that, like Gandhi said, be the change you want to see in the world. It's a real concept. It's not just an idea. And like Jesus, like Buddha, like all these beings of love and light that have come and lived as examples for us on the planet, when you transform yourself and you live in alignment with your highest self, and you become the love and become the light and literally vibrate out pure, loving light intention, and you live in harmony and alignment with your dharma, your gifts, your reason for being, like that is so important. And that is so impactful to everyone around you. And I really just want to encourage people to seek within, to clear out the gunk. We're not meant to live life of constant fear, constant anxiety, constant depression. We are in a mental health crisis as a collective, and especially as a nation in the USA. And it's, I believe, calling us to this inner awakening that is truly what the world needs. Right? The world doesn't need another millionaire or billionaire or another successful person. The world needs a more loving person, regardless of what amount of money they make. And guess what? As you become that person, because we live in an economy of money and sharing and all that, you naturally attract to you opportunities, synchronicities, success, all the things that you truly need to live a life. Unless you're meant to go off and become a monk in an ashram somewhere, that's not most of our gigs, right? So I'm just encouraging people to stop being so enamored by the outside and obsessed with the hustle. Take the time to go within, and it will transform everything you're seeing without. And it will be truly you help. We all want to help others by yelling louder than the other people who are also yelling loudly. But if we actually transform ourselves and become these beacons of love, that is actually what will help everyone way more than anything else outward. So that's my encouragement. That's what I'm always happy to share with people. And CBD can help that. It can help calm you down.
And Noah's the guy to do it for you. And he also does offers free platform to a library to help you with that CBD and
Yeah,
that.
so that's at feelgoodlibrary.com. If you just want to go straight to the platform, it's totally free and has a wealth of information on it. Feelgoodlibrary.com, or you can get there by clicking on feelgoodhemp.org and checking it out from there too.
And you can also connect with Noah and on Facebook, facebook.com/feelgoodhemp. And again, thank you. I want to thank all our viewers and future audio and video viewers. So thank you and good night, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.